Good morning, travelers. Tara here, and this is election reading number 5. I was going to do a reading on the new GDP numbers that have come out. And then as I was shuffling the cards, my guide said, no, you should be asking about the actual vote counting process that's going to be occurring. Now, first thing I want to say is if you received a mail in ballot, wherever you live, if you're watching this, it is too late to put that ballot in the mail to be counted or to be postmarked because mail has been slowed down by a week in most states. Um, so, what you can do is you can either fill out your mail in ballot and take it to a drop box or take it to your county election official if that's possible. Some of you may not live close by those places. If not, you're going to have to go vote in person. And the way that you do that is you take your mail-in ballot with you to the walk-in vote in person location, present your ID and your voter registration card. They will cancel your mail-in ballot and then you will be allowed to vote in person. Don't let anybody tell you that they can't be done because those are the rules. Please get out and vote. Take precaution, make a plan because you're going to be there for hours and hours and hours. So take food, take a chair. If it's cold, get a jacket. If it's raining, take an umbrella. Get yourself some snacks so you won't be passing out from hunger and go vote. Now, what I do find to be interesting at this particular point about the actual election, as well as these new GDP numbers, something just doesn't sit right with me about those numbers. I am not an economist. I am not a statistician or an analyst of these things. But it strikes me as really, really odd that 5 days before the election, we get the numbers that the GDP has increased by 7 points. When 23 million Americans are still unemployed, 8 million Americans have now fallen into poverty. 8 more million Americans have fallen into poverty. The COVID numbers are rising. And, it just strikes me as odd. And so what I did was the GDP, for those of you who don't know, the GDP is a monetary measure of the market value of all the final goods and services produced in a specific time period. So it's broken down into quarters, and there are 3 months to each quarter. So there's reporting. They get all the numbers to see what's happening. The 4 major components to measure the GDP are personal consumption expenditures, investments, net exports, and government expenditure. Now, I'm thinking that because the financial situation is so iffy for people, maybe they are spending money, but they're spending it in different ways. But then there are lots of people who won't be having a place to live, ain't got no job, and can't feed themselves and their kids. The kids are not in school, people are not working, and any production that's being made has been slowed down so they can make room for spacing for the workers to work so that they can produce things. Be assured, the stock market is not the economy. The economy is how much money are people making and how much money are they spending. Okay, that's really the driving force behind the economy. The economy doesn't move if people don't have money to spend on whatever it is that they normally spend it on. Okay, food, clothing, shelter, entertainment, travel, products. It just doesn't grow that way. So you will forgive me for being skeptical of those particular numbers. It's just kind of suspicious to me. And the reason why I'm saying that is because we have this full moon in Taurus occurring tomorrow over the day of the 31st. It's a 2-day window or influence. But what I think is going to be most interesting about this full moon in Taurus is that it will be conjunct Uranus. So this is going to be really, really intense. Full moons hide things, but then Uranus can reveal things or pull the rug out from under you. And it's falling in the sign of Taurus, and Taurus is the money sign. It rules your personal monies. So this is your bank accounts, your 401ks, your mortgages, your rent, those things. And while I was while I was shuffling cards, this image fell out. The sign of the bull, and there above it is a moon. Now, this is the strength card, but back in the olden days, cattle were traded as a currency. And it also rules the stock market. If you've ever seen the bull, that's outside of the New York Stock Exchange, the symbol is the bull. So the universe is speaking to us about, I think, both the economy, the stock market, the GDP, but it's also talking to us about this election that's coming up and this full moon in Taurus that's happening conjunct Uranus. So with that being said, the question that I posed, because we're getting really, really close, there are a lot of challenges that are occurring around counting the ballots, how the ballots are going to be counted, should they be counted, will they be thrown out? And so I want to say to all of you who can hear me, counting ballots after the actual election is a normal process. During the Gore Bush election back in, what was it, 1984, they counted them damn ballots. It was like 3 months before we knew who the winner of the election was. Okay, and then it was decided by the Supreme Court. So this is not a new thing. It does not imply that there's any cheating or any nefarious happenings going on around the scene. This is a normal process. This is the democratic process. Okay, so don't believe the hype, the misinformation, the disinformation that if the ballots come in after the election is over, then they shouldn't be counted because they're all fake ballots. That's not true. That's just a way to prevent people from voting or disencourage people not to vote. Encourage people not to vote, to make you suspicious of the process. I've lived all over the world, and this is the only country in the world in which they make it harder for people to vote. And I was in the military, and we went over to other countries to support people so that they had the right to vote. So if we can do it for other countries, why is it so hard for us to do it for our own people? And it reminds me of something my grandma used to tell me. My grandma used to say the greatest trick the devil ever did was try to he convinced people that he didn't exist. And what I mean by that is you're listening to people who are trying to get you to vote against your own best interest. They work for us, not the other way around. It is government by the people, for the people. Our tax dollars pay their salaries. When 45 got COVID and went to the hospital, to Walter Reed, okay, we paid for his medical care. We paid for the flight over there, and we paid for all of his medical care. All right. So why can't we be afforded the same opportunities as 45? He works for us, not the other way around. I'm getting off my soapbox now because that just made me mad. And the reason why I'm so mad about it is because here in Texas, we have the most uninsured people in the United States. And right now, the Trump administration has a case before the Texas Supreme Court where they are trying to strike down the ACH law. And if they are successful, you will not have any insurance in the middle of a pandemic. But yet, our tax dollars can pay for all of those people who are working up there in Washington who's getting it to go to the hospital. We can't even go to the damn hospital. We have to wait till we're damn near on death's door to be able to get into the hospital. There's no testing. We can't do anything. But yet, the money that they're taking from our taxes pays for them to go to the doctor and get good health care. I don't think that's fair. And so you have the power. You have the power by voting. And please go out and vote. Please vote. Please vote. Vote like your life depended on it, because it does. Okay? So anyway, my question was, what will be the energy surrounding the vote counting process for November 3rd, 2020? That was my question on the GDP, but my guide said, no, you need to write on this one. So we're going to see what the cards have to say, if anything. They were really bizarre when I did the reading the other day. But interestingly, right after I completed that reading where I was talking about Brett Kavanaugh, he cropped up in the news. All right, on a recent ruling that he made. I think it was about either Wisconsin or Pennsylvania or maybe both. So my guides are on target. They just weren't telling me everything that's happening. Okay, sometimes it's like that. So I'm gonna turn the camera around. And we know that this is our overall energy. And so, again, the question is, what is the energy that will be surrounding the vote counting process? And hopefully, the cards will speak clearly, and my guides will be able to. I want to make sure these are right side up. Will be able to help me interpret these messages. Because I just have this distinct feeling that there's, I don't know, some kind of surprise, that tower energy. And it's going to happen like right after all of the polls close. That's what my guides are telling me. So let's put the cards down here. We have the 8 of Stars. Oh, wow. I don't know if you can see that. There's all these soldiers standing inside of this walled gate. Wow, the imagery of that is quite interesting. Judgment. The 3 of Wands. But look at that. It's just a big old fire. Wow. Okay. Let me look at something right quick. God, I cannot thank Jessica Adams enough. She's like, get this book. It's the only book you'll ever need. She was so right. Okay. There's something about... Oh. Mm. Hmm. Okay. What stood out to me was the cock on top of the Pope's papal crown. Now, in some uh, cultures, the cock is believed to represent the idea of sort of like the darkest before the dawn. In other words, when he crows, he is letting us know that the light is about to come. That makes sense because we know that cocks crow at sunrise, right? And the Sudanese and also in southern hoodoo culture, the cock is revered because he is. Hold on. I just want to make sure I got it right for the Sudanese. Hold on. For the Sudanese people, the shape of it's the foot is used to represent the crossroads, the 4 different directions. So this is why, like in hoodoo conjure, we will use the cock's foot to scratch up things or to reveal things, right? He is also, there's also a saying here in America about chickens coming home to roost. So there is this association as well with Cox secrets being involved or things being exposed, so to speak. I'm not exactly sure what that actually means in the context of the cards, but that just kind of stood out to me. I'm not sure if the cock is crowing to say, something is going to be revealed to us, or the light's going to be, or that there's going to be a whole bunch of mess scratched up. Not sure. Okay. If I had to pick a card that stood out the most, it would be this one. It would be this one. And the reason why I say that, we know that there are a bunch of armed militia people who are, I honestly feel they're going to be coming into the streets to intimidate people at the vote counting centers. They did that in the Florida governor's primary. They showed up, they stood outside, they chanted. They didn't show up with weapons, but they stood outside and harassed the officials. But now we're dealing with people who are coming with arms. And I find it interesting that they say that they are there to help the police, but yet those groups believe in less governmental influence. In other words, they're kind of the people who want to defund the police, or get rid of the police, because they think that we have the right to police our own selves. So let me go. It's sort of like that idea of the Klan claiming to be a Christian group, but yet they burnt the cross. Now, I don't know anything about that, but that just sounds completely like a dichotomy to me, or an oxymoron. Why would you set fire to the one symbol that is supposed to promise you salvation? I don't know. But I'm not a Christian, so that's just something. I grew up with the Klan burning crosses in my yard, so it's something that I've seen in person. So let's start with the, I'm going to tell you something that was a sight to behold. This says, the female bastard to so high a place ascends. The late return will make the sad ones glad. This speaks to strength, force, courage, power, ability, authority, and commanding presence. Now, this has a prophetic reference to the ascension of Queen Elizabeth I. I'm not exactly sure what was happening around that time, but I know that there were lots of wars and fights and power struggles that were going on before Queen Elizabeth ascended the throne. But, I think that this is a time frame. This is what this feels like to me. It doesn't feel as though it is related to this particular, the female bastard to so high a place ascends. The late return will make the sad ones glad. Now, I don't know if this is telling us that there really is going to be something positive about the votes being counted late. Okay, perhaps, I'm not sure. Here we have the 8 of stars, which is, the 8 of swords. And the through great dangers the captive escapes. Quite soon fortune will be changed. This is based on a series of paintings called Carceri or Prisons by Giovanni Piranesi from 1720 to 1778, in which the sheer vastness of the prisons is such that those kept there are so daunted they do not actually seek to escape. Now, this has the astrological influence of Jupiter, who rules over laws. This image shows a city filled with soldiers unable to leave even though the gate is opened. The keywords are criticism, crisis, blame, censure, condemnation, illness, and blindfold. They don't even see that the gate is open. That's interesting. Judgment. Let's see what judgment has to tell us. And judgment is just that. It's judgment. It can speak to divine law, it can speak to secular law, but it also speaks to your own sensibilities, using all of your common sense, utilizing your best judgment. Hold on, let me find it. It's number 20. That's interesting. Size will come to expose the land. Holy crap. Monumental urns will be opened. Change, renewal, judgment, self-assessment, strong opinions, taking things into account, the outcome, promotion, decision, and restoration. Now, this has a prophetic reference to the French Revolution. Size will come to expose the land. Monumental urns will be opened. I don't know if this is telling me that there's going to be some bloodshed in the streets. Let's see what this Three of Sons is telling us. When Venus is covered by the sun, then beneath its splendor will it be hidden. The ruler of Taurus is Venus. And the sun in Scorpio will be opposing the moon in Taurus. Those two houses are opposite, the 8th and the 10th house. Scorpio is the house of secrets. It is also the house of, it can be, speak to corruption and crime and nefarious things happening. But it is also the gateway to the other world, okay? Ruled by Pluto, Scorpio is. One second. I just want to get a general idea of where Venus is at the moment. Venus will be in the sign of Libra. She will be at 3 degrees tomorrow, at 4 degrees on the 31st, and on the 3rd she will be, well, what do you know, at 7 degrees Libra. She will be making a trine to the moon. Well, and a square to Pluto, Saturn, and I want to say Jupiter. Yes, right at the mark of the 3rd house. And we still have and the sun will still be squaring Uranus. Well. Well, I would say that perhaps in certain areas, there will be armed people in the streets. I'm not going to say necessarily that there are, you know what this reminds me of? Stand back and stand by. They're already inside the White House. What do you call that? Metaphorically. And they're not out yet. Right now, they are enthralled by whatever's happening on the inside of this building, but the gates are open. There's something about this card. And it's repeated here. The two faces. You see them here as well. Ah, there's an owl here. Owls can sometimes speak to knowledge and wisdom, but owls also can be harbingers of bad news and sometimes even death in some cultures. There's this weird little animal. I don't know what this is at the foot of this pope. And the document or the book that he's holding in his hand has 3 circles on it. I don't know what those circles mean. Indeed, these 3 things are related. They're brought together by the color red. You know, red equals fire, it equals passion. Uh, but passion, people can be passionately fearful or passionately angry or passionately exalted. So excited emotions, excited doesn't always mean fun. Um, Hopped up, high intensity. Where is Mars? Mars is in Aries, his ruling sign, at 15 degrees, and he is retrograde. I keep telling y'all, a lot of times people look at the major planets, and that's actually true, but I find Mars to be a real trigger when things get heated. And I think the closer that we get to the election, the definitely there's something to do with the law here. We have Jupiter and we have judgment. The laws. So whether this is karmic laws and or secular laws, I think these 2 things kind of intertwine. I do know at the same time they're going through some really bad things over in France as well. So this could also be a sort of a reference to what's happening there. But I think this is all being triggered by this full moon in Taurus. I don't think that anything that's happening right now is a coincidence. And the 3 circles on the book, I don't know if you can see those there. See them? Are the 3 stars or the 3 suns above this. So whatever this thing is, I would take it to mean when Venus is covered by the sun, then beneath its splendor will it be hidden. So it says enterprise, trade, activity, boldness, courage, intellectual power, voyages of discovery, and cooperation. But this is not feeling like the positive upright. It feels like the negative upright, which are hidden motives, distrust, treachery, hope, struggle, and deceit. That's what that feels like. There's this huge fire, this huge explosion, this huge conflagration. We don't know what it's burning, right? It almost appears as if there's an entrance here to this, right? That looks to me like a gated, even though it's not. It's just simply all of the cards, look, have that little symbol at that archway there at the bottom. But with the number 3 presented there, it looks to me like some kind of gate. And that whatever this entrance is to, it is on fire. This huge conflagration. Not only is it on fire and it's burning, but it also brings a lot of attention. Does that make any sense? So, that's what I have for you. So, if you're going to be out, I would stay home on the election. I would not go out if I don't have to. Not for anything, not to go to the store. I'm not saying you should be fearful. We can't live our lives in fear. But sometimes you will run across someone who, for whatever reason, decides that maybe they don't like the way you look, or they don't like the bumper sticker you got on your car, and could try to, provoke and cause trouble. So, black folks, stay home. Try not to engage. I do feel that there will be incidents where people are going to be baited and provoked. Please, for safety's sake, stay home. What is happening now is something that I grew up with in the 60s in Mississippi. So this is not a new struggle. It's not any of the tricks, the old tricks. These are all old tricks. These are, it's the last gasp of a particular power structure. Okay? Things are changing. Remember, I keep talking to you about the new era of Aquarius that's coming? There's a new era coming. And the old way is dying hard. There's an old saying in the South, Dixie dies hard, right? Okay? And so there's something new that's trying to come into being. And the old powers that be are really trying to push and fight against it. They want things to stay, the status quo to stay the way that it is. But it can't. Okay? It's time for something new now. And the sooner that we all recognize that, the sooner we can move on and get shit done. So, with that being said, please stay safe over the holiday seasons here this Halloween. Social distance, wear your mask, don't be going to a whole bunch of crazy Halloween parties. COVID is going to be really ugly between now and, let's say, April or March, when it starts to warm up again. This is going to be very, very ugly. And a lot of people are going to get ill, and a lot of people are going to die. And I do feel that eventually, and this is depending on the outcome of whoever wins the election, we will be going back into a lockdown. There's no other way. There's no other way. Until people get the message that wearing a mask helps. And it's not infringing on your rights, because you're infringing on mine not to get sick when you don't want to wear one. So I guess we're at an impasse. So wear your mask, wash your hands, social distance. Please go vote. And stay out of the streets if you don't have to be there November 3rd. Okay? Eventually that energy is going to die down. If we don't feed it, it'll die down. That's the thing. If we don't feed the energy, it will die down. Okay? I'm kind of worried if the police are actually going to do their job or not, if they're going to protect those people that are counting the votes, protect those locations, those locales. I don't know. I literally don't know. We are almost at a point of anarchy. Okay? Never thought I'd be saying that about this country that I love, but really, this could descend into anarchy and chaos and bloodshed and a whole bunch of foolishness. So stay alert, stay safe, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Until next time, namaste.